Hey SnapFlash viewers, big policy news out of Gaborone. Botswana's government has rolled out a major plan aimed at tackling youth unemployment, gender inequality, and gender-based violence, three of the country's toughest social challenges. The plan promises jobs, empowerment, and protection. But can it deliver where so many others have fallen short? Let's break down what's inside the new Youth and Gender Mainstreaming chapter of the National Development Plan 12. Before we dive in, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a SnapFlash update on Botswana's development and policy stories. Speaking in Parliament, Minister of Youth and Gender Affairs Lesego Chombo said the plan is built around inclusion, ensuring that young people, women, and men all play an active role in shaping Botswana's future. She admitted that youth unemployment remains one of the most pressing national challenges, fueling social issues like substance abuse and crime. To respond, government will develop a national employment strategy for youth, women, and people with disabilities, to make it easier for graduates and job seekers to transition into work.
The true north for the sector is to create an inclusive environment where women, men, and young people of Botswana are active participants and beneficiaries in socio-economic, cultural, and political development. In that regard, the youth and gender sectors have proposed strategies under the 12th National Development Plan aimed at addressing challenges as stated earlier, and these strategies aim to recognize that citizenry is not homogeneous, requiring specific measures to address differing needs. In order to address the issue of unemployment, Madam Speaker, government intends to develop an employment strategy for special groups, being youth, women, and persons living with disability, to facilitate a seamless transition for individuals moving from education and training into sustainable employment. There will be upskilling and character building, amongst others. Madam Speaker, the introduction of a Youth Development Act, which will establish the Youth Commission as well as strengthen the Botswana National Youth Council, amongst others. This is aimed at improving coordination and adequately addressing issues that affect young people. In order to advance youth empowerment, it is important to, amongst others, expand state-of-the-art facilities for art, sport, culture, digital skills and innovation, wellness and mental health services, entrepreneurship, digital skills and innovation, while linking youth to financing schemes and ICT-based opportunities. There will be close collaboration between the Ministry of Youth and Gender Affairs, the Ministry of Sport and Arts, as well as the Ministry of Communications and Innovation in availing these youth-friendly facilities. In terms of programming for the Youth Development Fund is currently being reviewed and remodeled to address key issues that have constrained its impact over the years. These issues include analog systems, inadequate post-funding support, and weak monitoring and evaluation mechanisms. The remodeled Youth Development Fund seeks to introduce a more robust framework, emphasizing capacity building prior to funding, enhanced business incubation and mentorship, and structured linkages with markets and value chains. It will also strengthen the partnership framework, Madam Speaker, with private sector and development partners to leverage on co-financing, technology transfer, as well as enterprise acceleration. The intended results are increased sustainability in youth enterprises, improved repayment and reinvestment rates, job creation, and greater contribution of youth businesses to national productivity and diversification goals. In addition, Madam Speaker, the Botswana National Service Program, BNSP, is being revamped to transform it into a more coordinated and impactful national platform for youth empowerment. The new model will emphasize skills development, civic engagement, and transition pathways into employment or entrepreneurship. Our participants will gain training that allows them to later transition into structured opportunities through linkages with both public and private sector partners. Through this reform, the Botswana National Service Program will serve as a bridge between education and employment to reduce youth unemployment and foster a deeper sense of patriotism, discipline, and social responsibility. Madam Speaker, the sector will introduce the National Youth Volunteer Movement, and this is designed to cultivate a spirit of service, patriotism, and active citizenship amongst young people through structured placement in community projects, development partner projects, and public initiatives. The movement will serve as a pathway to employability, civic responsibility, and social cohesion, particularly addressing the challenge of inactivity amongst out-of-school and unemployed youth. It will indeed as well benefit young people who are employed and in school. Further, the National Mentorship Program will be introduced and aims to bridge the gap between young people and experienced professionals, entrepreneurs, and leaders across sectors. It will create a structured platform for skills transfer, career guidance, personal development, and entrepreneurial growth, and it will pair emerging youth leaders and innovators with mentors who can guide them towards sustainable livelihood pathways. Collectively, Madam Speaker, these initiatives reflect our government's commitment to creating holistic pathways for youth empowerment, ensuring that young people, young Botswana, are equipped, supported, and inspired to become active agents of national transformation in line with Vision 2036 and this National Development Plan.
On gender equality, Chombo announced plans for stronger legislation to fight gender-based violence, including more one-stop service centers, survivor shelters, and interministerial coordination.
Madam Speaker, now moving on to gender issues, a legislation to curb gender-based violence has been introduced to strengthen prevention and response to gender-based violence. A multi-sectoral approach will be pursued, including the establishment of a one-stop service center, including the establishment of one-stop service centers and expansion of shelters for the support of our survivors. And for prevention, Madam Speaker, a multi-sectoral approach will be prioritized, and this will include inculcating gender equality principles from early childhood development through to higher education by integrating a gender-sensitive curriculum, strong collaboration between all affected sectors through the strengthening of the Interministerial Committee on Gender-Based Violence are paramount to the effectiveness of this multi-sectoral approach. This Interministerial Committee on Gender-Based Violence consists of the Ministry of Youth and Gender Affairs, that of State President, Finance, Local Government and Traditional Affairs, Justice and Correctional Services, Health, as well as the Ministry of Child Welfare and Basic Education. Madam Speaker, I must hasten to note that we must act in unity, courage, and consistency to overcome this crisis of gender-based violence. Our laws indeed must protect. Our institutions must as well respond swiftly. Our communities must refuse to remain silent. This calls for an all-of-society mobilization where leaders, faith-based organizations, schools, traditional authorities, and families work together to rebuild a culture of respect and accountability. It is only through this commitment that we can reclaim our humanity and restore the moral strength that has always defined Botswana and Botswana. Madam Speaker, in our continued pursuit of inclusivity and equality, the sector will also scale up gender-responsive budgeting to ensure that national resources address the distinct needs of women, men, and other vulnerable groups. Efforts are underway to strengthen the national gender machinery, particularly through the revitalization of the National Gender Commission to enhance coordination, monitoring, and accountability in advancing gender equality. The strengthened commission will ensure that gender considerations are systematically integrated into national planning, budgeting, and implementation processes across all sectors. In parallel, Madam Speaker, government will scale up women's economic empowerment initiatives by ensuring funding support, improved access to finance, and developing modern market spaces or modern marketplaces for women entrepreneurs. These interventions aim to promote fair access to economic opportunities, to enable women to transition from informal to formal enterprises, and to enhance their participation in productive sectors. The ultimate goal is to strengthen women's income security and economic independence, positioning them as equal contributors to national growth and transformation. Madam Speaker, Additionally, government is advancing plans to develop a gender equality legislation and a national gender strategy, both of which will serve as critical instruments in promoting gender equality, protecting rights, and fostering a society that is just, inclusive, and free from all forms of discrimination and violence. It is important for Botswana's national policies and laws to be aligned with regional and international commitments such as the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, being CEDAW, as well as the African Union Agenda 2063. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, youth and gender will be mainstreamed across all sectors to ensure inclusive and equitable national development. This will involve integrating youth and gender priorities into policy formulation, into laws, into planning, budgeting, and implementation processes. All ministries, departments, and agencies will conduct gender and youth impact assessments, apply responsive budgeting tools, and promote equitable participation in leadership and decision-making structures. Efforts will also focus on strengthening institutional capacity, improving data systems, and fostering partnerships with the private sector, our civil society, and development partners to advance equality, empowerment, and meaningful participation for all citizens in national development. I so submit, and I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Here's the big question. Can Botswana's new youth and gender policies turn good intentions into real change? Or will this plan risk becoming another document of promises? Drop your thoughts below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on notifications for more SnapFlash stories that keep you questioning and informed. As Botswana moves into NDP 12, the Youth and Gender Mainstreaming Plan could define how the next generation, especially women and young people, shape the nation's future. For now, all eyes are on implementation. Thanks for watching SnapFlash. Keep questioning, stay informed.